We are here at the Charlotte Roval to start out testing for Season 4 of Open Wheel Offline League. It's been a hot minute, but we're back. Cars already hitting the track. It's a 2-hour session. Just looking to find some data, get some laps in, and see how everything's going to shake out before the season starts. Ryan Preece already on to the banking. It'll be the first car we've seen. And we are now starting with the IR01. Brand new car to iRacing AI. It's a lot of just brand new things to play with. I think it's going to be a fun season. 20 races, 12 ovals, 8 road courses. And just look at how those cars just fly around these corners. Incredibly fast, going to be the fastest cars we've ever used. On the ovals, you're going to be seeing speeds of 250 miles per hour. And you can see the data down at the bottom. Ryan Preece, first sector, green, which means that is an improvement on their previous best. Pink is a new best around the track. Look at him drift through those turns. All over the place. Benjamin Peterson behind him on track. Not the green car, but the purple car. He's going to be having his first full-time season. We have 24 cars at this test, and Ryan Preece has already spun it around. It's not a great start to your testing, as there's already another car in the barrier. Ethan Mars has already benched him. Oh man. An added obstacle in the chicane with a car stopped. Hopefully he's going to get out of there, but fortunately the tower has not quite agreed with the qualifying sector times. We'll try to get that fixed. But you can kind of see where they're stacking up. Right now, Dorian Pin leading the field. Here's your top 5 so far, if it decides to show up. Apparently not. There's a lot of things that I need to test as well, and that's kind of a good usage for this time. Dorian Pin, your fastest car so far. You're going to see a lot of the fastest times being set now, and also at the end of the session. So during the middle, we'll try to cover what's going on with some of these drivers. 16 cars have set times already. Dorian Pin coming around to set another. Gail Barnhart in second, Benjamin Peterson in third, and you are seeing a lot of cars sliding around. Faster speeds, more out of control. Alessio Deletta has beached himself in the grass. Not where he's supposed to be. Dorian Pin, still P1. If you want to take a look at the gaps, what we're looking at, so 0.1 second ahead of Connor Zilich, who is in second. Whoa, look at that drift into those turns. Catherine Legg in third. We don't have a lot of rookies this season, unlike the previous seasons where about half the field are rookies. We only have about 5 this season. Let's try to cover them. Just really quickly, we'll touch on them a little bit more later as Louis Foster goes to the top, surpassing teammate Dorian Pin. Man, there are a lot of cars sliding around. So some of your rookies, we have Connor Zilich in the 9. We have the 99 of Brennan Hubbard for Viking Racing. 25 of David Malukas for Masters of Motors. 07, also Master of Motors. That is Catherine Legg. And then you also have the 75 of Jacob Abel for Team Eggs, currently down in 18th. Just trying to see a lot of the times neutralize as Guy Gagne, we watch him. There's still a lot of action going on track. But right now, let's start to cover some of these individual stories, as these are the drivers that you're gonna get to know this season. As there's actually a big clump of cars in front of them. But Guy Gagne drove for Masters of Motors last season, got 1 pole, but generally had a quiet season, and has now switched sides over to Viking Racing, which has been only 1 car for all 3 previous seasons, but is now expanded into 3 cars. Knox Racing will not continue this season. All the cars got auctioned off. Viking Racing got 2 of them. Silly Men Racing also got 2. One of their cars they sold off, but they took the other one, so Silly Men Racing is also now up to 3 cars. Viking Racing has 3. And you'll notice Logan Sargent, not one of their drivers. We had grown quite accustomed to seeing Logan Sargent in that number 9. But as you can see, that is now Connor Zilich in that car. Connor Zilich, a rookie for Viking Racing. And this guy's really probably going to be their guy. But he is just a rookie. We don't know exactly where he's going to be. But he looks solid so far, currently 3rd on the timing tower. Guy Gagne in 5th. And then the final teammate, Brendan Hubbard, the only one of their cars, well, the only custom driver this whole season. So we're really going to have to watch to see where he stacks up compared to the rest of the field. Currently down in 13th, so not bad right now. As you now see the timing tower starting to scroll through the rest of the drivers. But another team that has expanded in numbers is the Swindlers of the Immortals. You see the 11 of Louis Foster in 1st, the 03 of Dorian Pin in 2nd, and then the 43 of Shane Van Gisbergen down in 10th. This is a team that I think we're really going to be talking about a lot this season. I think this is 3 solid drivers. Louis Foster does not have a win in this series, but came really close on several occasions last season for Team Eggs. Dorian Pin got the second, now switched allegiance over to the 03, and now racing a teammate right now, and goes around the outside of Shane Van Gisbergen. This guy, we're going to see him a lot this season, as he just got knocked out of the top 10 by Chet Jordan. Season 1 champion. One of my favorite stories in this series is when he got off to a monumental lead in Season 1. It looked like no one was going to be able to catch him. He was 2 full race worth points ahead. And yet that gap started dwindling. Logan Sargent was catching up. but was able to hold him off at the end. A good decisive victory at Laguna Seca helped that happen. But now he's back for his first full-time season since his championship run. He was there for season 2, but only on a part-time schedule in that number 1. And yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna see a good amount of this guy, and I think this is gonna be a good season for him. So let's take a look at P4 right now. One of our most winningest drivers. We went from one of the other winningest drivers in the series to another. Gale Barnhart in the 42. We had grown used to seeing him in that Weenie Hut Senior's number 2 car, as there are 2 cars beached. Strange. They are really struggling with that corner. That corner in the chicane seems to be a trouble spot. As, oh, Barnhart just got into the wall. Not supposed to do that, but we've seen him at Weenie Hut Seniors, but he has now switched over to Silly Men Racing. Weenie Hut Seniors not competing full-time this season, at least as of now. And Gale Barnhart has now switched over. The other driver that was at that team is Ethan Martz, and he has switched over to Skibbity Sigma Racing, that number 95. Teammate Mahavir Raghunathan, who also finally got the can at Silly Men Racing. Well, I say finally, that's a little harsh, but just the team felt like he wasn't really performing. He did get a win at Phillips Island last season. It was too little, too late. They had already decided that he was going to be out by the end of the season. But he still found a ride. Currently, that car is all black. Team owner did not paint the cars before the test session, so that's why you see all black on both of those cars. But yeah, now his 42 that he has driven for the last 3 seasons has been taken over by Gale Barnhart, who I don't want to be too harsh to Raghunathan, but Barnhart's already running in 4th. And that's kind of one of those things where you don't really want the person that just took your ride to be better than you. But it's already looking quite rough for Mahavir. Other of the Silly Men Racing drivers, Chet Jordan currently sits in 11th. Currently in pit lane right now. Marcus Armstrong in 16th. We see him out on track, going down the backstretch. I think these guys are gonna have a good season. I think Silly Men Racing, it's been quite fun to watch them expand. Season 1 just had a lot of bad luck. Had to sell off their second car, Mahavir. They guaranteed him a ride for next season, but just had to put him on the bench. They had Martin Truex Jr. for the rest of the season, and then gave Mahavir the full-time ride in Season 2. Weren't able to really do much of anything with that. And then they had Chet Jordan last season, and Chet Jordan did really well. Championship contender, kind of lost form in the second half of the season, but still looked incredibly strong. As Chet Jordan now just up the road. But now, I think in the teammate battle last season, he was pretty convincingly beating Mahavir Raghunathan, but he is now reunited with his old teammate, Gale Barnhart. And then Marcus Armstrong, I think, is going to provide a a good battle in that team. Because one of these things is you want to try to beat your teammate. As much as you want to beat everyone else, for the individual drivers, you want to beat your teammate and pretty much prove yourself. Hey, I'm worthy. And I think it's going to be a good battle between that whole team. Someone who's not going to have to battle their team, 18 of Kalamilot. So we talked about two teams that have not returned to the season, Knox Racing and Weenie Hut Seniors not going to return for this season. We could still see Weenie Hut Seniors maybe later on in the season, but as of now, they are not going to be in the season. So we're down to 9 teams from 11 last season, but to add the 10th team, kind of a last-minute entry, but we have the 18 of Kalamilot, 18 standing for 18 Aggressive Bees, which is the name of the team. Themed with a yellow and black car. Kalamilot. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. Season 2, he still got 2 wins out of it, but it was a disappointing season. Did not come back for Season 3. And I want to see where he can go after that growth that he had in Season 1. Although he wasn't as much of a championship contender as Logan Sargent, he still was in the pursuit of chasing down Shane Van Gisbergen to be eligible in that championship fight. And I just hope that maybe this season, it'll be a good start, but knowing it's only one car team, finances aren't going to be being made as much, but they could really pour the resources into this one driver. As you see Kalamilot now in the pit box. Louis Foster still out in front, chasing down Globler Lore as Guy Gagne goes P4. I want to talk about Globler Lore, even though right now it doesn't look quite impressive, sitting down in 20th for only 20 minutes, 1/6 into this session. Globler has not been on the same team for 2 consecutive seasons. He has been around for all 4 seasons, but has switched teams every single time. But even though he has switched again, he is no longer at Masters of Motors, as that is a big crash for Chet Jordan. He has lost a nose. Let's try to see what happened to him here. We haven't quite seen what actually transpires in these spins. He's sitting there for a good while. Oh, just lost it. He got a little bit of air, kind of went off the ground for a second. Into the tire barrier, we may not see much of him going forward in this session. As you can see, Globler now on pit road. He has returned to the magenta trees. Easily out of the 3 teams he has been on, he's seen the most success with. He had 3 poles back in Season 2, all on super speedways. It's a little bit of a super speedway ringer. He's back for Season 4, second season with the magenta trees. And Stingray Rob, who is not currently on track, he must have also had some damage that they had to bring back to the garage. Stingray Rob has been brought back for a 4th season with the magenta trees, so thinking of all these long-lasting deals with drivers and teams, Stingray Rob in that 77 for the magenta trees has lasted the longest. Louis Foster now battling Yuki Tsunoda, no longer at Team Eggs, as that is actually not Yuki Tsunoda, that is the 12 of Miles Rowe. Still learning, still learning. I recognize the colors as Eventide Racing. Miles Rowe gonna be doing his first full-time season, not counted as a rookie since he did more than 5 races. But he debuted at Spa last season, had a really good debut. Rest of the season didn't necessarily go his way. But team was happy. They recontracted him before the end of last season, actually. So he's back for a first full-time season, second complete season. Currently holding off Louis Foster as Foster goes into the pits. Foster, we know, broke away from Team Eggs, was that third driver that they hired midway through last season, starting at the Red Bull Ring. But another driver who has switched teams from Team Eggs, Yuki Tsunoda, in at 27. Miles Rowe's teammate at Eventide Racing. They're really excited to have signed this guy. They see a lot of promise in him. Right now he's racing with Marcus Armstrong and David Malukas. Yuki Tsunoda had a win last year at the Red Bull Ring where Louis Foster debuted. And had a lot of strong performances, finished top 10 in points. And he's really gonna, Eventide Racing is really looking at this guy to really help develop the team. The team only has 8 races under their belt. LC Borden, they didn't think they were going to be able to do much with. And Malukas just spins out right in front of, I believe that is Mahavir Raghunathan. Yuki Tsunoda holding his own right now, currently in 9th, but about half a second off the pace, so they're going to need to try to find where that pace went. Right now, top 5, Louis Foster, Connor Zilich, Dorian Pin, Guy Gagne, and Robbie Lohr. Also been around for 3 seasons and has been traded around significantly. Was at Lohr Sport Racing in Season 2. Then the team closed doors. And he got passed off to Knox Racing, which we now know has been suspended. But now at Team Eggs, and he hasn't really had a good shot these last 2 seasons, but maybe this is when the tides change for him. And he can really flex some muscle. Quite happy to see what he does. Right now it's looking solid, currently P5. Hanging on quite strong. You can see the sector times comparing how close he is to the people in front of him. Compared to Dorian Pin's best sectors, wasn't quite where he wanted to be. Right now he's currently getting a big draft around by Alessio Deletta, but Deletta kind of holding him up at the same time. Deletta, we gotta talk about this guy. Even though he's 22nd in testing right now, we did not expect him to finish 3rd last season in points, and he really didn't start finding his form until late in the season, where he had 5 consecutive top 10s to end the season. He was really optimistic going into the season, was re-signed by the Banshees of Little Miami. Midway through last season, his whole team actually got re-signed. And he nearly won 2 of the Triple Crown races. One at Pocono, finished 2nd at Michigan. Actually, he finished 2nd at Indy. So he got really close to sweeping all Triple Crown races. But we didn't really peg this guy to do much. The Indy was won by Lindsey Brewer. who is back for the season in the 47, currently sits 19th on the leaderboard, and then Benjamin Peterson, the third driver that was hired midway through last season. He is 15th, so currently the fastest out of the 3 teammates. The Banshees of Little Miami looking very strong going into the season. We're just going to have to see what pace they have. We kind of have a clump of cars going around these turns. Man, they slide around a lot. It's like you're watching really high-powered go-karts. 5 cars lined up right now, really trying to get a feel on how these cars will race. Louis Foster at the back of the train, still P1 by 9/100ths of a second. Oh! Ryan Preece upside down. Lost it. That turn is just so fast. It wasn't as violent of a flip, but he still lands on his roof. Roof? Yeah, we may not see him for a while. When you see these cars get damaged, you're probably not going to see him for a hot minute. So Chet Jordan, we saw he had damage earlier. We're probably not seeing him for a good while. Ethan Marks, we haven't seen him in a good while, but he is back out on track. As we mentioned earlier, was at Weenie Hut Seniors last season. Brought home some solid results, especially early on in the season. Late season form kind of fell off a bit, but still finished pretty solidly in points. And he's back for a second full-time season. But right now in testing it hasn't looked so promising, has been missing for a good amount of it, over a second off the pace. I believe as of now, only him and Stingray Robb are over a second off the pace of Louis Foster. Got to figure out what that's all about. But Skibidi Sigma Racing, they went big on their hiring of drivers last season, hiring Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. They hired Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. last season as pretty much an all-star lineup, but they couldn't really put much into the car, and we're hoping that the driver lineup was going to be able to carry them. Still got 2 wins out of it, but was not consistent enough to really do much in the point standings. However, they spent most of their money on their drivers last season, so this season they had to go a little bit cheaper. Ethan Marks, Mahavir Raghunathan, not asking much. Both just kind of happy to be on the grid this season, but I don't think you're going to really see much out of them. Mahavir Raghunathan, Ethan Marks, I think their goal is just try to beat each other. Try to just flex their muscle and show, hey, I'm ahead of this guy. That give me some brownie points. And who knows, maybe they'll be closer to the field come race time. Right now in testing, 18th and 24th. Definitely not the strongest that we've seen so far. Currently, Banshees of Little Miami not doing too hot either. Frankly, Team Eggs is not doing much either. Ryan Preece, we thought it'd take him a while to get repaired and go back out. He's already back out there despite flipping the car. And he just backed it into the wall again in that corner. He is all over the place. As he's trying to drive that at half speed, I don't... Just park the car. Right now, a lot of troubles for the Season 2 champion. He's just trying to wheel that back. Their rookie driver, Jacob Abel, who is coming into the pits right now, also not really doing much on the timing tower. Sitting 22nd, almost a full second off the pace. One of the few rookies this season. But right now, not looking super strong. The only bright spot on the team so far is Robbie Lore, who every time I look away seems to move up one spot on the leaderboard. A lot of the leaderboard has kind of settled down for now as temperatures are getting hotter. Right now, let's take a look at your weather. Track time, 10:30 in the morning. 7 mile per hour wind speed, 70 mile per hour air temp, cloudy, and 79 degrees track temp. We're going to have to see what that is at the end of the race, or at the end of the session, which should be in the late afternoon-ish. Catherine Legg. Oh, and that's a spin for Lindsey Brewer. There are a couple cars parked down there. I don't know who the other driver is. I saw it was bright green. Cannot tell who that other car is. It's not Stingray. Except Stingray is missing a back wing. Interesting. Connor Zilic chasing down Catherine Legg. Currently 2nd and 7th, respectively. Now side by side on the banking. This track is a good tell of really kind of everything. You've got some oval sections, you've got some tight and narrow sections like over here that kind of feel more street coursey. Then you have the undulation that's like a road course. Connor Zilic way out in the marbles. That's something new this season. iRacing has added an update where out of the groove there could be bits of debris, tires, and he may have hit the wall as well, being all the way out there. Now he's kind of parked on the track. But they added the debris from like dirt, so if someone goes off into a runoff, comes back onto the surface, there's going to be dust and stuff that makes the surface way more slick. And then just pieces of tire rubber. If you ever go to one of these tracks, which you should, you can walk around the outside and you'll just see little pieces of rubber. It's called the marbles. And you go out there and it's really slick. And it's not really drivable. Down the backstretch, we see Callum Ilott and Yuki Tsunoda. Man, look at how these things fly. Just watch what speed gets up to before they get to the chicane. 200 miles per hour. That's only with like a few seconds of getting up there in speed. Around the turn. Not going to be as high going into this chicane. Yuki Tsunoda pulls off. We see Mahavir Raghunathan with Tsunoda's other teammate, Miles Rowe, who sits 13th on the timing tower. There seems to be a big pack up here. Louis Foster and teammate Dorian Pin switching places. So far, Shane Van Gisbergen, the only one of swindlers of the Immortals, not in the top 10. Currently sits down in 11th. About half a second off the pace to his teammate, so hopefully he's gonna try to close that in. He's going out now. Also way in the back, I believe that is Brennan Hubbard. Gonna come out right behind 25 David Malukas in that bright green car. David Malukas, one of the rookies this season. Gonna be driving for Masters of Motors. Hired 2 rookies this season. Right now, doesn't look too bad. Currently sits 7th and 10th with Cap and Leg up at 7th. He goes all the way down to the inside, hugging that white line. Currently right in front of, I believe that is Mahavir Raghunathan, who's been turning a lot of laps, hops that curb. Miles Rowe follows through. It's a good little piece of racing. Not the longest of straights, but these drivers are making it work. You see 2 Viking racing cars at the back of this. Gagne currently sits 5th on the timing tower, getting held up a little bit by teammate Brennan Hubbard, who sits down in 14th with a 54.28. Still hanging on to the tail of the group though. The draft seeming to be very powerful in these cars. As for Raghunathan, kind of pulling away. Oh, it gets a little squirrely, but you can really see the marble build up in that turn. Just look up offline. It kind of looks like there's a perfect little section as Chet Jordan once again finds himself off track, facing the barrier. Yeah, you can really just see into that corner the amount of rubber built up. We'll watch on Glubler, and look how there's just a perfect line. And everything beyond this left side of his car is just rubber. You do not want to go out there because it's difficult to get that off. Glubler sits down in 20th. Magenta Tree's not having good pace right now as Stingray Rob drops to last as Ethan Martz moves up to 23rd. Yeah, not quite sure what is happening with the Magenta Trees, but seeming to be struggling on pace. Stingray Rob now pulls out. One thing I want to talk about now that we're mentioning pit road. One thing with these cars, on ovals, you won't see this be in effect, but on road courses, there are going to be 3 sets of tires you have to change at least once per race. There's going to be soft tires, the medium tires, and the hard tires. Essentially, the difference is the soft tires, they're faster, but they fall off sooner. Medium tires go medium distance, medium speed. And then hard tires, they are the slower, but they won't fall off as dramatically. They can last a little bit longer. So if you want to do a big stint, those ones are better. But if you're focused on speed, you want to go on the soft tires. Right now, you're seeing everyone running soft tires because they're essentially just trying to... It's kind of set up like a qualifying session right now. So you're not going to see a medium tire get broke out. Had to distinguish... I'm struggling with speaking. Had to distinguish the tires. The red ones are the softs, as another car is stuck in that corner. The soft tires are the red ones, the mediums are the yellow, and then hard tires are the white tire. Stingray Rob all over the back of, I believe that is Guy Gagné, that 90. We have a clump of cars back there. This is Callum Ilott, Alessio Deletta, and Marcus Armstrong, as Flubler and Shane Van Gisbergen have found themselves tangled in that corner. Track feels like a go-karting track for these guys. That may explain why they're sliding around so much, but sheesh. Whoa! Big slide. Louis Foster still sits on top at 53.77. Still hanging on right behind Gale Barnhart. Currently 6th on the timing tower. Best lap is a 54.14. I did just have one of the team owners yelling at me about track limits. Race control on this is essentially just going to be dictated by whatever iRacing says. If iRacing deems a driver is nuts or has completely cut a turn, they'll penalize them, but our race control is essentially made up of a collective union of 3 elderly people, and they just do not care. If you remember back to Season 2, in the closing laps, Mahavir Raghunathan hip-checked Logan Sargent into a wall, and essentially race control said, they have fists, go fight it out. We don't really care. And these two, you can really see just Louis Foster able to catch up on these straightaways with the big suck of these cars, but just cannot pull out just enough. Gale Barnhart really seeming to be about even with him. Gale Barnhart, we know he hasn't really had many races where he's won on straight up speed, but he's one of those smart drivers that just knows how to put it all together. If you remember back to his Indy 300 win back in season 1, he was able to just methodically get back on the lead lap and then controlled it for the last quarter of the race. It's really a strong performance. At Le Mans back in season 2, he pitted at the perfect time, basically able to jump everyone. It got out way far ahead. Indy Road Course also good strategy calls, got himself to the front. Really only say his Mugello win in season 2 was on outright pace. But he looked really strong that one. He's really going back and forth with Stingray Robb, who still sits in 24th. Jane Van Gisbergen. Man, just so fascinating to see the rubber on the outside of the turn. Look on the left side of the car. Oh, and there goes Guy Gagné, and he is upside down. Sorry, that is actually Brennan Hubbard, who has flipped the car. That's not supposed to happen. Looked kind of silly how it bounced back, but oh. Man, it started flipping over before he even hit the barrier. Very unstable weight-wise. Now we see Connor Zilic to the outside of Dorian Pin. I feel like we haven't seen much of Brendan Hubbard today. I don't think he's turned a lot of laps. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of this who has done the most time. Just based on aura, I'd probably say it felt like Armstrong has been out there a lot. Guy Gagné's also been putting in a lot of laps. Robbie, he's been doing a lot. Alessio Deletta has been out there a lot, but he's only 22nd on the timing tower, so he may genuinely be struggling on pace, but we have seen him struggle at the beginning of the season and wake up at the end. But this is not the greatest sign for the Banshees of Little Miami, as Shane Van Gisbergen just jumps into the top 10. Now up to 9th. So now that's all 10 Swindlers of the Immortals cars. Sorry, all 3 of the Swindlers of the Immortals cars in the top 10. With Foster first, Pin second, and Van Gisbergen in 9th. Louis Foster still leading. Dorian Pin pulling into her pit box. You can see Connor Zilic trying to battle with Lindsey Brewer. Had to kind of back out of that one. Man, it is going to be hard to adjust to seeing the number 9 without Logan Sargent in it. Logan Sargent probably on a beach or on a yacht in Miami. Not having to worry about none of this racing stuff. We see Guy Gagné, well, he was battling with Yuki Tsunoda, but Tsunoda pulls off. Benjamin Peterson up the road in 15th. Foster battles Miles Rowe. The sparks coming out of the floor on the banking. Now see a couple of teammates having a nice battle, practicing their racecraft. Oh, Robbie dives down the inside of Ryan Preece. Gets ahead. Robbie currently sits in 4th. Ryan Preece really struggling today. Currently in 16th. Not the greatest showing so far of pure pace. Foster now with Sonoda. As you see Chet Jordan up here with Sonoda's teammate, Miles Rowe. This is a good group of cars right here. Chet Jordan just outside the top 10, currently sits in 12th. Looked pretty smooth through the chicane for all 3 drivers. No big out of control drifting. Like whatever happened to Ethan Martz. Can't even see him, he's just hidden there. Talent wore off. Is what it is. Sonoda now behind Chet Jordan. And since this is essentially a glorified qualifying session, at least that's what the AI thinks, maybe you're seeing a lot more of these mistakes that you wouldn't normally see in a race because they're pushing much harder than they normally would. Maybe give them a bit of credit. And maybe they aren't completely talentless. Or at least some of them. And no, I'm not saying that because Mahavir Raghunathan is on the screen right now. Just saying. Just saying. Yuki Tsunoda is now caught up to Chet Jordan. We'll have to see if he can get by. That section of the track is quite fun. The big uphill and a downhill, essentially at the apex of the turn. Later this week we'll have the oval test. That'll be less time. That'll also be at Charlotte, just on the oval. One of the tracks, whoa, that is a big jump up for Yuki Tsunoda, up to 3rd place as Chet Jordan also went to 6th. Those were some big changes on the timing tower. Good laps for the 2 of them, nice and clean, pretty precise. As Tsunoda has closed in the gap. So far 5 cars are below 54 seconds, everyone below 55 seconds. Up ahead, you see a couple teammates battling. You see Benjamin Peterson and Alessio Deletta. Both race winners last season. I think back-to-back race winners as well, as Van Gisbergen has benched himself once again. Peterson still sits in 15th. Deletta still in 22nd. Got ahead of Jacob Abel for a little bit, but then Abel cut right ahead. Robbie getting passed by Gail Barnhart going into the chicane. We are almost at the halfway point. And Stingray Rob has flipped himself. Oh, and that was almost Catherine Legg going upside down. Stingray Rob flipped himself, akin to real life. Fully oversteer. So I guess one thing that we've learned about this car, those fast turns like that are going to be quite fun to see. Quite quaint, one might say. Some tracks that I'm immediately thinking of on the schedule that they could have some problems with. Sandown, Sonoma, Portland, with those fast turns like that. How are they going to navigate the S's at Suzuka? May God have mercy on their souls. See a little cluster going down the front stretch right now. I believe that is being led by... Who is leading that? That is Brennan Hubbard. Callum Ilott right behind, and then Miles Rowe. Miles Rowe's been turning in a lot of laps. Not a lot of issues. Kept it relatively clean. You just want to be able to put in a lot of laps. Really prove that, hey, I can keep this car clean. And sometimes that's kind of all you need to not cause a massive hole in the wallets of the team owners. Robbie chasing down David Malukas. Now he has Dorian pinned for company. There's a lot of clusters on the track. There's a big one over here. There's a lot of cars in this group. Led by Glubler right now, who sits in 20th. This group kind of split into a couple groups, but there's also a few cars up ahead. Everyone out right now. Dane Van Gisbergen at the back of this group, currently sits in 11th. As we are now in the final hour of this testing. Brennan Hubbard chasing down Jacob Abel. And that we can see that the draft is pretty powerful in these cars. Some of these road courses, you're going to have to be pretty precise with where you put yourself. Just to try to get the draft of the cars in front of you, but not be held up by them. Some of these tracks, it's easier said than done. Sandown, we know, is going to be some quick lap times. But then some of these tracks are on the bigger side. Suzuka, Aragon. There's going to be some where they're going to be on top of each other. So David Malukas has found the grass. Was in the top 10 for most of the session, but then fell down to 12th. Not seeing a lot of big changes on the timing tower currently. If you turn on the qualifying mode, everyone's running yellow sectors. Nobody looking at any improvement currently. You want to see the gap to first. I don't like that it says pit for some of them because you can't see where they are. Shane Van Gisbergen, right as I said, no one was improving. Van Gisbergen jumps up into 6th with a 54.04. Lubler also improved a good bit. He went up to 19th. That's actually only one spot, so I lied. I lied to you guys. Van Gisbergen definitely caught some draft off the 54 and 77. But everything helps. Going underneath Callum Ilott. Thought about making a double pass. Tried getting by Mahavir Raghunathan. Sits down in 18th. Raghunathan has actually turned a lot of laps so far. Been looking quite solid. So he's got to be pleased with what he's done so far. Teammate Ethan Martz still sits in 23rd. Over a second off the pace. Currently 22 cars are within a second. As that is another car flipped. Was that Ryan Preece again? Yes, it was. Ryan Preece really struggling. Car's already looking like a handful for him. It's going to be difficult to adjust, but I feel like some of these guys are going to be able to do it better than others. It's just really finicky, these more power cars. It's a lot different than what he won a championship on. Same with Shane Van Gisbergen. I should also say that this is the first time we've had a season where the defending champion has not participated in. There's a big absence of Liam Lawson, who won the championship last season for Swindlers of the Immortals, was not brought back. Instead, they opted for Van Gisbergen. Second place driver, Connor Daly, also did not come back. The big switch up with that team, even though they have some familiar drivers. Catherine Legg, Robbie Lohr, and Dorianne Pinn all going into the chicane. Catherine Legg gonna lose out. She's gonna drop to 3rd in that group. Top 5 has stayed the same for quite some time. It's really been around that midfield where we've been seeing a lot of movement and changing of places. As Dorianne Pinn pulls down to the inside. Oh, look at that slide from Robbie. Able to catch it. He and Dorianne have done a lot of laps so far, not many mistakes. Catherine Legg's also done a good amount of laps. Yeah, you can really tell who hasn't done a lot of laps just if they're missing a good amount of the time. Like, we've rarely seen Ryan. Oh, Robbie just has a mistake. Commentator's curse, if you want to call it. Stays out of major trouble. You're just gonna need to back out of that one. Now, I think this is gonna be a good time to just kind of sit back and watch. See what a lap around this track looks like from inside the cockpit. That is a stopped car of David Malukas. We're riding on board with Alessio Deletta to see what he sees. Man, most of that in fifth gear. Oh, there goes Shane Van Gisbergen. That's what it's like to be passed. See if he can catch the draft and catch back up to him. Boy, Van Gisbergen's gonna run away. Oh, he is fighting that car. I think Shane Van Gisbergen is getting away from him. That was a little ride along with Alessio Deletta. He's still kind of with him, but his teammate Benjamin Peterson kind of in the way right now. Oh, way offline into the marbles. You can see him on the wheel. Man, that'll slow down the car significantly, and you basically have to go and rub that off by just driving more, but it's so unstable. Feels like you're racing on butter. Let's check the weather once again. It was 70 last time, gone up to 72. Track temp up to 85. We're now moving into a little bit hotter period of the day. You're not going to see many times falling as Alessio Deletta has found the parking lot with Yuki Tsunoda. Good job. Guy Gagné on track with Louis Foster. Battling through the chicane. As Yuki Tsunoda still parked there. He has finally gotten back going. Actually, no, they removed his car for some reason. I guess not. Lindsey Brewer following around Brendan Hubbard. Callum Ilott sliding around in the back. As track temp's getting hotter, it's going to be harder to try to improve your time. So looking at some of these guys farther down the order, they may be in a bit of trouble. Shane Van Gisbergen was stopped. He's got back going again. Lindsey Brewer still following Brendan Hubbard as they go through the hills and then onto the banking. battle is ongoing. They've now had David Malukas kind of join at the back of their group. We're going to have to see if he can catch up. They're just coming out of the pits. Someone is missing a front wing. There's a slow car out there without a front wing. Good luck with that, I guess. Just a bunch of yellow sectors being put up. Not anything super strong going out right now in terms of speed. Callum Ilott trying to go around the outside, which kind of turns into the inside. Quite a fun little section right there. Dave Van Gisbergen coming out of pit road, going to be all by himself. With coming up behind Chet Jordan and teammate Gale Barnhart. Teammates before, reunited this season after a season of being away. Both having left Weenie Hut Seniors. Look at them go. Look at the draft that Barnhart gets. He's going to try to go the long way around, but Chet Jordan going to close the door as they go into the chicane. Look at that slide. How much do you want to bet that's just showing off? Gale Barnhart chasing down his teammate. Let's try to watch some of this on board. Oh, look at that draft. Look at how much smoother Barnhart is compared to Chet Jordan. Look at how much he's dancing around at the back of that car. Oh man, they both went for a slide. Chet Jordan completely dirt tracking it. See if Barnhart can get him into the chicane this time by. See a car up the road, Lindsey Brewer. Oh, he's looking around the outside. No drafting help gonna be up there. Oh, kind of gets squeezed by Chet Jordan, backs out of it. Old teammate rivalry reunited. These guys are actually best of friends. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt, rivals. Chet Jordan, Gale Barnhart, best buds. Consider that. We've got a little clump up here. Two Viking racing cars sandwiching David Malukas and Dorian Pin. Connor Zilich out back and Guy Gagne in front. Oh, 2x2. Trying to go Noah's Ark through that. That kind of split the group up into two as David Malukas comes into pit road. As Stingray Robb gets out of last place, moves up to 23rd. Finally within a second. A lot of work he still has to do. Currently chasing down Yuki Tsunoda in that 27 car. Jorianne Pin has just been left behind as she is in the tire barrier. Louis Foster keeping it clean, still out in P1. Just kind of feels like some of these guys are just missing. We haven't really been able to talk much about them because they haven't been out on track much. Specifically, it feels like we haven't talked a lot about Marcus Armstrong. Just currently sitting 17th. He has not been out on track much. Might be in contention for some of the least laps ran. Just haven't seen much of him. MIA missing in action. It's actually, he's out. He's leaving the pits right now. There he is. Finally seeing that navy blue and crimson 33. He's going to come out right in front of Glubler. We're going to have to see what these new tires can do against some used soft tires in that 00. They're a little cold right now, so he's trying to get them up to temperature. Gonna have to see if he has anything that he can fight back with. We're gonna try to see the difference between these cold tires, and then they heat up and gain some speed. But right now, Globler is just pulling away. Maybe Globler's tires weren't as used as we thought. Hanging on to a gap right now. Guy Gagne currently leading Jacob Abel through the chicane. Jacob Abel not really showing a lot of speed right now. Currently sits in 21st. He has not been in the top 20 like at all. Especially as the times have kind of stayed stagnant, not a lot of movement. Just kind of been stuck in that spot. As the heat's gone up a little bit track temp wise. It's gonna be a little bit more grippy, so maybe you'll see less cars dying going into turn 4, but a little less speed. A little more conversation, a little less action. Here's another group. Ethan Martz, sandwiched between two Viking racing cars. Oh, and kind of throws the block on the 99 of Brendan Hubbard. I gotta try to remember the difference between Brendan Hubbard and Guy Gagne. Their cars kind of strike me as similar. Connor Zilic I could pick out. I know a Zilic when I see one. Brendan Hubbard has the yellow back wing. Guy Gagne has the silver back wing. Try to remember that as my guide. But maybe I won't need to when I have the Spotter's Guide, which will come out. I didn't like the Spotter's Guide that I made for last season, so I'll try to go back to what we had in season 2. I like that one. I was just too lazy. A lot of the 9s out here right now. Mahavir Raghunathan a little bit off this group. Teammates in, Ethan Martz currently leads it actually. Oh, side by side for the two Viking racing cars. Connor Zilic trying to chase down his own teammate. As there is more chaos and calamity down in this corner. Thought it was going to get cleaner, but apparently not. Man, these three are on top of each other. Brendan Hubbard looking to the outside. But it seems like he's just going to lose out to Connor Zilich. Look at that back dance around. As Zilich now looking to the outside. As Ethan March will now come down pit road with Brendan Hubbard right behind. Miles Rowe and Marcus Armstrong. Now going down the front stretch. The peak to the inside. Catherine Legg, third car in this group, the bright green. Masters of Motors very patriotic over the green this season. As the 07 is off pace, has an issue. Wants to hit the wall. Gonna be slow going down the backstretch. Hopefully doesn't get T-boned going into the bus stop chicane, but looks to be off the track in a safe spot right now. That's not safe. That is prime for a car to ramp off the back of hers, as I don't know why it's going forward and then. I think there's some aliens. Soul has been possessed. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda chasing down Benjamin Peterson. Peterson's been putting in a lot of laps. Feels like he's always out here. I think as of now, I'm going to try to check to see who's done the most laps so far. So far, least looks to be, as I assumed, Ryan Preece with only 34 under his belt. Most is currently, yeah, Benjamin Peterson with 70. Now on lap 71 right now. With Gail Barnhart in second at 68. Second least being, I believe second place being David Malukas at 38. The third being Marcus Armstrong at 39. Not a lot of laps from those guys. Connor Zilich also has a lot of laps. He has 66. Foster 65. Yeah, you're going to see some of the guys with the most with over 100. Look at this clump of cars. They're really clumping up. Dorian Pin, Mahavir Raghunathan, Louis Foster, Lindsey Brewer, Robbie Lohr, Ethan Marks, all in this group. Who's behind him? I believe that is Miles Rowe. On this low group back here, you see Louis Foster looking to the outside of Raghunathan. Robbie's trying to size up a pass in the back. Mahavir pulls off. Dorian Pin right beside Miles Rowe. Gets a pass done. Hey, all of them lived in that turn. Good job. Nearly 30 minutes to go. As the 33 of Armstrong has found himself beached once again. That's why he doesn't have a lot of laps. Louis Foster now comes down pit road once again. Marcus Armstrong got back going. Still sits in 17th. While his other two teammates are in the top 10, he currently sits down in 17th. Not the best way to start. Good thing it's only testing. Not truly indicative of speed, but early signs as Ethan Martz, his rear wing is somehow on his back wing as he just discards that into the middle of a track. Went nose first into a barrier in turn 4. And Loki has the Daniel Larson look on right now. Jacob Abel in the black and silver car going around on the outside. Also not really showing a lot of speed so far compared to teammates. I mean, Ryan Preece has just kind of struggled. Robbie really holding up that team in 5th. Benjamin Peterson going back out on track, trying to log even more laps, just trying to be the ultimate lap master. Callum Ilott is close on his heels, though. I think Callum Ilott actually has more now, 73. New team, a lot of laps need to be turned, a lot of data needs to be gotten. Right now, not the fastest guy, but seeming to be quite solid in his new ride with this new team. Trying to get by Robbie. Just kind of parked himself right in front of him. Now he's got the draft. We're going to have to see Willie try to go high. Not going to pull out just yet. Getting passed by the 09, sorry, the 90 of Guy Gagné. Still sitting in 8th. Second fastest of his team for Viking Racing. Currently battling David Malukas, Callum Ilott. Oh boy. Once you've been rambling for 90 minutes, get your head in a funny space. Kalamilot's going to get by the move on the outside in the chicane. That was pretty good placement. Very nice wheel to wheel. So he'll get ahead. That'll leave Guy Gagné. Maybe you have to fight it off with Lindsey Brewer. We see a battle, kind of a clump of cars back here. Jet Jordan on teammate Marcus Armstrong. Tell their teammates because their cars look the same, but they got different color. All over the back of Armstrong now. David Malukas just up the road in that bright green car. Jet Jordan looking high. Seems to have just gotten the speed out of nowhere as Armstrong kind of got held up by Malukas. I think to go faster here, you're really going to have to think about how far back can you be to get the draft but not get held up. I think that's really what's going to go into getting these fast laps on a lot of these tracks. Qualifying matters a lot. As the 11 of Louis Foster slow. Oh, that was very questionable driving out of the driver that is currently P1 and has been P1 for this whole session. Looked like he was about to go right into the barrels. That was odd. Oh, and a double spin for Silly Men Racing with their 24 and 33 as Chet Jordan has just backed into Marcus Armstrong. At least they have a 42 to be proud in, I guess. Gail Barnhart doing a lot of laps. On lap 77 right now. Still the most goes to Callum Ilott, but he just pulled in the pit lane. So that may go back to Benjamin Peterson. A driver we haven't seen much of because he's just been MIA. Ryan Preece finally back out on track and battling Miles Rowe. Hasn't seen a lot of track time. So we don't quite know where his true pace actually is. Because it's been so sporadic. All cars within a second, besides the 95 of Ethan Martz, who finds himself in the turn 4 area. Ryan Preece really sliding around. That car is not agreeing with him in any way. Jane Van Gisbergen chasing down Stingray Robb. We've also not really talked much of. Although he's no longer in last, he's still not in that top 20, which is really where you'd want to be. I want to talk about what have these guys been running as of recent. There he goes again. Not a lot of these guys doing lap times, really even in the 54s, besides Peterson and Catherine Legg last time by. Track's just really hot. The oval session will be more in the late afternoon, so you'll see the faster times being more near the end, especially as it goes into the sunset. Just kind of about getting those long runs in. Catherine Legg doing 2 consecutive laps in the high 54s. Looking quite solid. Still about 7/10 off of her best time. Want to know what the weather's like right now. Wind speed has picked up. Temperature is still the same, but track temp is so much hotter, 91 degrees. Not scorching, but might as well be. Catherine Legg pulls into the pits after a pretty solid run. Benjamin Peterson now chasing down Robbie. Nearly 20 minutes to go. Let's take you to a different site, different viewing experience. Take you around on the blimp so you can really see this track from high above. You can really see what these gaps look like. You can really see the racing line. You can see all the black marks in turn 4 where all the cars have been sliding off. These tires are getting absolutely bullied. You can really see that racing line. Look at the Pearson trying to go around the outside as Robbie will actually pull off because he's a bum. That's Chet Jordan, David Malukas. There's a little cluster down here. Yuki Tsunoda just in front of the 99 of Brendan Hubbard as Hubbard will go by and onto the front stretch. Ryan Preece just ahead of the 42 of Gail Barnhart, and there goes Preece again. Man, this is just not going the way he wanted it to. He is not backing up. May try to get it going after Miles Rowe goes through. Can't quite do it. There's just too many cars out on track. I think he's gonna have to get a tow. That's gonna be even more track time lost. As the 33 of Marcus Armstrong has found the barrier again. And Chet Jordan has had another oopsie daisy. Want to see a side-by-side battle. This may be where you look at how much I had to check up because of David Malukas going in way too hot into the turn. Gail Barnhart will easily get him. We'll have to see if... Look at how late on the brakes he gets, but how much he slides on exit. I really like right there, you can see cars coming and going through this infield section. Really see a lot of the track right here. Little cluster. Dorian Pin. I believe that's Marcus Armstrong right behind her. Also, if you want to see what it looks like from the spotter's deck, this is what the spotter gets to see. The spotter calls calls basically, are you next to someone? So you don't just absolutely hip check them into oblivion. It's more crucial on the ovals, but can be used on the road courses. They can see all the way around the track. But it's a lot easier with some of these brighter cars. See where they're going. 25 of David Malukas, no one's getting lost with that thing. Neither is Catherine Legg. Bright green. Then Callum Ilott going back out. That yellow and black stands out so much that it's hard to miss that one. Some of these other guys, they're gonna, especially these black cars, with Mahavir Raghunathan and Ethan Martz. First of all, you can't even tell apart them, the two apart. Good luck to those spotters. Hopefully they'll be painted for the next test session. "15 minutes to go. No changes. None really expected. Oh, and there he goes again. If you look at last lap times, there's a couple guys in the vicinity. Van Gisbergen isn't far off. A lot of the guys are running nearly a second slower than they normally would be. Yeah, Van Gisbergen really the only guy who was close that last time. It's also a car you're not going to be missing much. Yellow and white. Miles Rowe pulls off. This is Mahavir Raghunathan trying to hold off Dorian Pin and Robbie Lohr. They have to see if they can fight to get by. Oh, they're all really close. Here comes Robbie on the outside. Is he gonna be able to get Pin? Not quite. Robbie has to back out of it. Pin has to back out of it. Mahavir scoots away. Currently in 18th. He's been sitting in 18th for most of the session. It's quite fun to find these little clusters. Just see how long they stick together, see how much they're able to battle with each other. And how much they're willing to get their elbows out with each other. Single file this time through. Yuki Tsunoda once again has found the runoff, as that group has now just dissolved. Now we have David Malukas chasing down Glubler. Glubler in that almost all white car. That's also a car that it's going to be pretty easy to see. Just all white with a little bit of pink. Gloveler's brand, the 00 with the pink. Quite synonymous and iconic. As his teammate Stingray Rob now arriving on the scene as Gloveler pulls off. Closing in. Stingray getting a big draft. Sliding all the way around. There's also some big battles back here. Callum Ilott just got by Mahavir Raghunathan. Now he's kind of in the way of Miles Rowe. This is a little cluster right here. Mahavir just lost 4 spots in just a couple of turns. That's not what you want to see. Gagne right behind Catherine Legg. Legs looking to the inside of Miles Rowe, switching to the outside, all the way up there. Haven't really seen a car go that high on the oval yet today. Didn't quite work out for her as Guy Gagne thinks about the inside going into turn 1. Thinks better of it as Benjamin Peterson has an error. Haven't seen many errors out of him. Dorian Pin released in traffic right in front of all of them. Is Catherine Legg gonna get by Lindsey Brewer, who also came out right in front of everyone. Wanted to be a part of the group. As look at Gagne trying to think about the outside. He's gonna get there. It's pinned side by side with Brewer, and Gagne is going to be stopped, and that is also Gail Barnhart finds himself in the middle of traffic. Lindsey Brewer just got stuck around the outside of the chicane there. Had to wait for everyone to disappear. Nobody really quite close to going faster right now. I don't think we're going to be seeing much of anyone go faster. Connor Zilich, P2. Best rookie so far. The next rookie on the leaderboard is Catherine Legg down in 10th. So looking pretty solid for his first outing with the team. We're not going to know where his true speed lays or lie. Not too sure. Till they bring him out at Texas. Even then, with the ovals, you're more looking at aggression rather than raw speed. A little bit of a different measurement. But nonetheless, been looking pretty solid. Not a lot of issues. Definitely the cleanest of his teammates. Gagne's look pretty clean. Brendan Hubbard has had a little bit of errors. Overall, very good outing for the team. 2nd, 8th, 14th, not too bad. Still think it's quite established to the team that's going to be needing to be chased already. Louis Foster 1st, Dorian Pin 4th, Shane Van Gisberg in 6th. Swindlers of the Immortals. They're going to be a team to watch this season. I tell ya. Alessio Deletta battling with Ethan Martz. These guys not having the strongest of days. As David Malukas. Oh, look at that exit. We'll say a lot less incidents have been happening on the runoff. There's only really a few incidents in that last chicane at the beginning of the session. I think I only remember seeing Priest go out there twice. I think someone else, however, I just can't remember since that was almost 2 hours ago. Speaking of Ryan Priest, he's back out there. Trying to turn some more laps, so just have a clean stint. Without any major issue, without any big slides. Maybe bring it up the timing tower a little bit, but with the temperatures, that's going to be asking for a lot. Track temp up another degree. Yeah, just bring it home in one piece now. I mean, it's already came home in multiple different pieces, multiple different times. But this time, keep it clean. Ooh. A little bit of side-by-side with Chet Jordan. Got Lindsey Brewer and Jordan's teammate, Armstrong. Back there in the 4th spot. Whoa. That is a weird place to slide for Lindsey Brewer. Had it way out of whack in turn 3. That's not really where you see him slide much. There's a big clump down the backstretch. David Malukas and Miles Rowe side by side. Rowe's going to get the spot easy. As Robbie battles with Deletta. Nice little train of 4 cars. Less than 5 minutes to go in the testing session. Been a little bit of a chaotic one, and just for punctuation, David Malukas loses control in the chicane. Gagne really been battling with Brendan Hubbard a lot today. Callum Ilott right in front. As Hubbard looks down the inside, not able to get the position. But close. Gagne to the outside. As Callum Ilott will actually pull in pit lane. 3 minutes to go. Louis Foster, it looks like he's going to be coming home in P1 in this test. Dilich 2nd, Sonoda 3rd, Pin 4th, Robbie 5th, Van Gisberg in 6th, Chet Jordan 7th, Guy Gagne 8th, Gail Barnhart 9th, and Catherine Legg in 10th. Your bottom 5 of shame, Lindsey Brewer, Jacob Abel, Alessio Deletta, Stingray Robb, and Ethan Martz. That's who you have to shame and bully. A lot of cars out right now. Here's Jacob Abel trying to chase down teammate Ryan Priest. Not having the greatest of debuts. Abel looking for a pass and looked like he was trying to send it in a weird spot in the track. Would have been quite bold. 2.5 minutes. Man, Ryan Priest dirt tracking it. As side by side the two teammates. Dorian Pin trying to go high as Priest will now come in. That's a nice full stint under his belt there. Marcus Armstrong just up the road. Back here you've got Lindsey Brewer battling teammate Alessio Deletta. Now into the final minutes of testing. Charlotte Roval. And the time set early in the session seems like it is going to hold for Louis Foster at the top. Got a little clump. Cars down here, this is 6 of them. Pair of teammates of Banshees of Little Miami. Another pair, Billy Men Racing, and then Dorian Pin and Jacob Abel. As for solid measure, Ethan Martz buried in the runoff. But in the final 50 seconds, Louis Foster out on his own. Just a little bit up the road from the rest of the guys, that clump that we were just looking at. Just looks smooth. No major issues as Connor Zilich is off. It'll be his first full-time season. He's starting it off strong. Although not the first race, it's already a good omen. And it shows Swindlers of the Immortals are exactly where they want to be. 3 cars in the top 10. Just strong. Van Gisbergen crosses the line. He'll be the last driver. As checkered flag is out. Session is up. The garage is now clearing out. There's a wrap on testing at the Charlotte Roval. Topped by Louis Foster, Connor Zilich in second, and then Yuki Tsunoda in third. Dorian Pin fourth, and Robbie in fifth. Across the top, you're seeing your final times. Foster, Zilich, Tsunoda. Then you've got Dorian Pin, Robbie Lohr, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chet Jordan, Guy Gagne, Gail Barnhart, Catherine Legg as your top 10. And then 11th, you have Callum Ilott. 12th, David Malukas. 13th, Miles Rowe. 14th, Brendan Hubbard. 15th, Benjamin Peterson. 16th, Ryan Priest. 17th, Marcus Armstrong. 18th, Mahavir Raghunathan. 19th, Globler Lohr. 20th, Lindsey Brewer. 21st, Jacob Abel. 22nd, Alessio Deletta. 23rd, Stingray Robb. And 24th, Ethan Martz. So that is it from the Charlotte Roval. 53.771 set by Louis Foster dictates the session. Pretty solid start to the season, essentially. It's going to be a long ride. Charlotte Oval will be the next testing session, and then this weekend, well, not this weekend, next weekend, on Saturday, going to be going green at Texas with qualifying on Friday. Hope to see you guys there. Bye. I don't know how to end these.